jumping a rope. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. 2 Thessalonians 2, verses 3 and 4. In the 10th grade, I paid a visit to the Parliament building in Ottawa. A Canadian senator had invited a class to visit the Senate chamber, where we were allowed to sit behind the senator's desk. But the big chair at the front of the room caught my attention. The seat reserved for the Queen, now the King. It was roped off to keep visitors from accessing it. I could not help myself. Just as the visit came to an end, I hopped over the rope and sat in the Queen's place. I do not know how many visitors have done the same thing over the years, but I do know this. It is a stunt the entire human race has pulled with God. In the second letter to the Thessalonians, Paul predicted the rise of the son of perdition, who would attempt to lay claim to God's throne. In doing so, the man of sin would be following in the footsteps of Lucifer himself, who wanted to sit on the throne of the universe. The man of sin, however, is not alone in this act of defiance. He was merely standing at the head of the entire human race, which first rejected God's rule in Eden and has been trying to usurp God's authority ever since. Apart from Christ, we are all guilty of the same thing. We attempt to sit on God's throne, second guess his counsel, and call the shots ourselves. The result, tragically, is nearly always the same. It ends in heartbreak or outright disaster. It's one thing to point fingers at large institutions that obviously fit Paul's description. It's quite another to understand our own complicity in the rebellion. The man of sin and the prince of the power of the air would not have empires to rule if it were not for millions of self-interested subjects willing to follow their lead. Evil reigns because human beings are willing to entertain it, or at the very least are unwilling to embrace Christ's offer to free them from its grip. When Christians pledge to renounce the world, they admit that it is time to quit jumping over the rope to sit in the seat that clearly does not belong to them.